Yeah, I'm just waiting for this to update. All right, just refresh your script.
All right, got it. Okay, count me in, Greg, when you're ready. 3, 2. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus.
Welcome back, Mike.
Hey, thanks. Nice break. Hey, Brad Wren.
Hey, everybody.
And back with us, John Curley.
Hey, good to be back, guys.
On today's show, we will discuss the latest iRacing development blog, explore way too much hardware, share more sim to reality stories, get you up to speed on some of the final special events for the year, close out the 2024 iRacers Lounge Fantasy NASCAR League, and what is the iRating of the 2024 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion?
That's right, Mike. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, let's jump right to topics. The first and biggest story of the week is Greg Hill with another iRacing development update blog showcasing the content coming up for the next season build. There's a lot of information here, I'll tell you that. Let's try to digest it a little bit and just call out the highlights. Starting with season 1 cars, supercars from Australia. We're finally going to get those.
I can't wait for those.
Yes,
I
that's
actually run those a lot and hosted. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, this will be the Gen 3 Camaro and Ford Mustang. So they look great.
And Toyota eventually, right?
I guess, yeah. They're supposed to, 26 maybe is when they're going to debut the car. I don't know. It'd be nice to, I'm hoping with the Mustang work here, we're going to get closer to perhaps getting the updated GT4 and maybe even the Mustang Challenge car.
This one caught my eye for sure. The BMW M2 CSR is a new car that's going to be given out free that will be a middle point between rookies and GT4. And so it's a nice jump up. So it's not such a big jump up to the GT4. I've seen these on the street, guys. This car is, I'd love to own one.
Yeah, this was a surprise. Didn't see that one coming. So I'm glad that it's going to be free. Also, this will be used to help expand the iRacing safety cars. So this will become a pace car as well.
Next was the Acura NSX GT3 Evo 22.
This one
Like we need another GT3.
I was just gonna say this one got Brad going because this car doesn't exist anymore, doesn't it?
It's not being run after this year, so there was only one IMSA team that was running it. I don't think it's really maybe running the Japan series. I don't think any series is going to be running this car after going into 2026.
And then this one, Ferrari 499P, which is a GTP car, I believe.
Actually, it's an LMDH, so it's a wet car. It's not in IMSA. So that was the surprise, was to get an LMDH hypercar when we really don't have a series that it would fit into, because
For now.
For now, even though the IMSA series basically tries to kind of cover both aspects, tries to somewhat cover the WEC with track selection and the calendar, and then cover IMSA as well. So, as I think I told you guys in the chat, I think I'm hoping this is just kind of a foretaste of what's to come. We know what's been going on with motorsports games, and that pitfall that they are. I'm really, really hoping that iRacing may get an opportunity to get some more, actually get some good representation for WEC.
I like the fact that Ferrari, Porsche, and BMW have stuck to, still, even though there's different things that are going on with we not getting difference, we don't have that WEC series, but Ferrari and Porsche and BMW have stuck to, still letting cars be scanned for iRacing and dealing with iRacing and making sure that we, eventually get these cars, because I honestly didn't think we were going to get this WEC car, but this is probably one of the most popular cars that people want to run from it because it dominates the WEC series.
Yeah, it's won the last two Le Mans. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because Ferrari has said they have no intention of participating in IMSA currently. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know if they'll actually add it to IMSA or if it's just going to be added for special events. It's going to be interesting.
Final sentence about this. It says, quote, "This road car heavy build is stacked, and oval racing fans have a lot to look forward to in 3 short months in the March build."
I hope that's not them saying it's going to take 3 months to get those other was it Gen 4s?
I think that's what it's saying.
Is it really? Because that's taken a
That's what he's
long time
referring
for them
to.
to work on it.
Well, you'll see later in the script they're just scanning one of the cars now this week, so it's still in progress.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So tracks, let's move on to that. Thruxton circuit from the UK, Huset Speedway, a dirt oval in South Dakota, New Hampshire Motor Speedway refresh, Las Vegas Motor Speedway refresh.
Yeah, happy about that. And I think we'll just continue to see the refreshes on the NASCAR side. Ideally, as they continue to do work on the console game.
And I think this next one is one of the biggest ones, debris refresh. iRacing has dynamic track systems in sim racing, blah, blah, blah. This particular feature, basically the idea is when somebody runs off the track and they put gravel or debris on the track, that just kind of disappears a half a lap later in iRacing. It's like it was never there to begin with, right? So now they've programmed it where debris will build up, and they gave an example of at Le Mans along the road, the shoulder of the road along the Mulsanne Strait at Le Mans. It's literally littered with debris in real life, and racers actually avoid it all the time. But in iRacing, we don't. Because of that, this new feature will resolve that.
See, this is. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say it. I mean, we can see in this example, it's got the gravel on the road, and the way I read this is not only are we going to see it, but we're going to feel it. Am I right about
traction.
that?
Oh yeah.
It's going to be like when they first did the marbles and stuff like that, when you could hear it hitting the underbody of the car and stuff like that. But I think they learned something when they did how well they did the rain model, where the more you run over a certain area, it cleans up the track and it dries it off. They probably learned that they can do it with debris and stuff now, that it does the same thing. If cars are going over it, it'll get rid of it. I hope it leads into something like, can we eventually get down the road where, if you go off in the grass or the gravel, can you get gravel in the air ducts on like road cars, and you have to pick because of overheating or something? Like, I don't know if that's something anybody wants, but it could be a possibility of something they could add.
Yeah, I think it opens up the possibility to a lot of things. So, for me, the clincher on this one is the last sentence. Future evolutions of debris refresh sets a foundation for additional tire-related features such as puncture damage. So, how do you think about? What do you think about that? You're 6 hours into an endurance race and you catch a rock and you pop a tire.
It's like real life.
I like it. Or you run over like carbon fiber from a wreck, right? You hit somebody's wing. You're in an open wheel car. There's been a wreck somewhere. You run over the wing or something, or some of the carbon fiber. You get a puncture.
Yeah, like
I'm
go ahead, Brad.
well, I was gonna say I'm good for that. You know, I just one thing I've never wanted is the random stuff. So you know, if you remember, if you did much with NR 2003, we used to have random tire failures, and you could have a random engine or gearbox, stuff like that, and there was never any rhyme or reason to it. So if it's going to be directly related to what happens to what I'm doing in the car, I'm good with that. I never want randomness to come in.
Was AI behavior improvements like flashing their headlights at you if they're trying to pass? That's really the only thing they kind of indicate. I wanted to say out loud, when I run AI, the line they take is too perfect. They are not. It doesn't look lifelike because they're just in a train. I mean, nobody gets offline, and it looks fake. And so they really got to mix up the AI where it looks like real people, taking different lines and doing different things. Right, Brad, why don't you jump in on tire model enhancements? What do you think this means?
Yeah, so says our latest release-ready tire version will be added across the GTP class and LMP2. So work is also underway to add this tire to the NASCAR Cup and other oval cars. Some of the primary benefits can be improved dynamic response. They feel more like real tires. Whenever you first load them, they respond quickly. So as you sustain loads, they soften up, and then you can lean on them. They feel much more in sync with your driving inputs. Previous tires, might have felt like we're waiting for tires to respond. This will be much better now. And then the second benefits could be first degradation. So introducing new degradation mechanism. So long-term conditioning state. As the tires will run, you will start to lose grip. Grip's going to reduce. So they've been working on, I guess, is a tool that they've got that they can do this much easier now. And then also out of the secondary benefits, compounds, where they can actually run more realistic, grippier compounds, and then the construction. So using more realistic, softer constructions, as we're not trying to create a dynamic response to the tire with super stiff carcasses. So look, I think the tire model is always going to be an ever evolving thing. And that's, look, at the end of the day, if you don't get the tire right, then everything else is wrong, because that's the only thing that connects you to the road. So this is good. We really haven't. I mean, I'm trying to think back in the last year. We haven't had. I can't think of any decent updates to tires per se, have we? Outside of getting rain and wet tires.
Yeah, and they go on to say that Dave Kamer and Terrence Groening and the physics team are hard at work on the next tire version, which we expect will be a revolutionary advancement in iRacing tire modeling. Graphic series redesign. This is where you go click on the series to launch it. There, instead of having a pop out, that's going to be gone. Um, graphics engine enhancements. Even though they're working on a new engine, they're still working on the existing one, and they've made some changes, including showing us some screenshots of before and after of colors and shades and that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I have the photographer type of eye to really tell the difference. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think you can really see the difference in this first one. So you've got an Indy car, I'm guessing probably at Long Beach. But the way that the shading is on the building behind it, it's much more three-dimensional. Um, and everything doesn't look just so flat. And that's typically what we get now. Currently with iRacing is stuff is somewhat flat. And then the second one, we've got looks like GTP, and just the reflections, everything it just looks much better. There's, I think there's also a picture, I guess, further down. It's a comparison. I think it's to Daytona, and the track, just the lighting from the cracks looks better. So I think this looks good. Again, still waiting to see what the new one's going to be, but as long as they continue to improve, it's good.
Now, this next one's gotten a lot of social media interest. Bump Start. We've hoped to have bump starts when we debuted the GTP race car category last year. However, it's a small feature in concept, but far more complex when it comes to implementation. And so, anyway, they're going to add it to the GTP field, and will debut in December. For now, is a recording. Now, I'm going to hit play. I don't know if you guys will hear it. Let's try. Is this something we need? Bump start?
Well, I mean, I think it would be great once to eventually get the hybrid in the engine. So, I mean, right now when you leave, it's just like anything else. You fire off the car and you leave pit road. But the way that the cars are designed, is you're basically leaving on the electric motor until the car, until the motor kicks in. So, and look, I think it's a for an immersion standpoint, I think it's fine. Again, would nice to. I mean, the idea is hopefully to get the hybrid to be modeled the way it is. I think we're just going to continue to see the hybrids being added to all kinds of stuff. I mean, NASCAR's talked about it. I think you already see it in the hypercars, whether it's LMDH or GTP and IMSA. I think you're going to continue to see it. We'll probably start to see it in some sports cars and other ones.
Okay, and next section is ongoing future development. New Sim UI is going to be here in March, and they give us an update about this huge project. And they do give some screenshots of what it's looking like. My first reaction is the play, rewind, fast forward are still right where we can't see them.
And my thought exactly. I mean, again, we haven't changed anything, Mike, layout wise. All we've done is we've just changed the way it looks. Am I right?
It's a little different, but yeah, I mean, if you look across the top, it still has the Drive Now button. It still got the Request New Car button. They just look a little different. They're still in the same spot.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, again, we haven't moved anything. We just made it look better. I mean, look, like I've said, I would like to get a DDU, but I'm not going to do it until don't have to sit here, and look over top of it and whatnot to try to get to my replay. That is so aggravating.
Or make it where these things are dockable, floatable. You can set them where you want them, each box, and they remember, or something like that.
Well, if you can, if you can move boxes around in the car, why can't we do it in the UI?
Perfect. It would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, they do say it's going to be customizable. I don't know to what extent that's going to be, but hopefully it'll accomplish those things you're talking about. You can move it around so you can actually see it.
Yeah, looking at the in-car version, so that was the out of the car we were looking at, but the in-car still got the relative box, still got the white, blue, red on the driver's name, but they've added iRating and safety rating. They've added manufacturer, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, I mean, this looks good. I mean, most of the overlays that all of us have to use third-party apps for, it looks like that's somewhat integrated here, which is good. Look, I would prefer not to have 4 different things running while I'm racing. If I can get all the information out of iRacing, I'm good. It's all in there. If everybody else can pull it out, there's no reason that iRacing can't actually do it themselves.
The final screenshot there, it shows like all the different pop outs you can have. They have, guess what? A track map finally, a decent looking track map.
Well, I like this because with the map, it's also got the radar over it as well, so you're not having to look at two different things.
And it's got the throttle brake plot or curves. Um, it's new. So we'll see how that looks. I'm looking forward to that. So that's coming in March. They also talk about the graphics engine project, and they give an example of the pictures on that. And wow, these are different. They talk about something called specular lighting, after and before.
Yeah, that looks great. I mean, that looks really good.
It makes the other one look like it's a computer game, even though the other one before was we thought looked really good. Yeah, but this when you compare them, it's like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah, and also I guess they're going to be introducing deferred rendering prototype. That's what they're working on now. From what I've read on the forums, I guess there's some concern there because apparently deferred rendering does not work well in VR. Unfortunately, David's not here, so perhaps maybe next time he's on the pod we can bring it up. But I've read quite a bit of concern on the forums that this could be an issue, depending on how they do it.
This next section, physics development. Dave Terrence and the physics team have been improving our core physics systems, emphasizing force feedback in our tire development. Ultimately, the project will result in a release of V10 tires across the whole service. The first time we've mentioned a tire version in years, but double digits is notable. Now, the last time they mentioned this was version 7, I believe, maybe 3, 4 years ago. Wow, we're on going to version 10. And so it reads off as better force feedback, better contact patch modeling, better tire shape, better tire compound modeling, better grip model, better everything.
Well, I mean, we talk about it. I mean, we all like to complain, especially when we're running cup cars on the road courses. How it feels like you're running on big old round blocks of plastic, is what it feels like. So, um, hey, I'm looking forward to continue development on the tires because I still think that's the one area where things are lacking.
Other developer tools have been created called Car Builder, which is a user interface for the vehicle I can't say that, dynamics engineer to basically create a car. So when they go build a car, they used to do it by just having to know how to code. Now they have an actual user interface where they can decide, okay, the braking, the tires, the horsepower, all these things, and configure the car basically.
Yeah, because one of the things they mentioned on here is that most of their engineers are now coming from the real world. So whether they've been working in F1, NASCAR, IndyCar, or whatever else, these guys understand how to build a race car. They don't know how to code. So this should open up opportunities to get even more realistic um, physics because you're not having to hire somebody who knows, understands engineering, but also, is a coder.
And they also describe a similar tool, but for tires. And they said that the tool has 40 independent physical parameters for the tires that can be adjusted to get the tire where they want it. Single player career mode has been split into 2 phases. They're going to first launch AI championships, which will serve as a foundation for our later full career mode. Race control. They talk about the recent addition to the team. I don't think there's any specifics there. They talk about save game and
Well,
then
with
future
the
content.
well, hang on, with the race control though, they started talking about this the last build, um, but are working on Um, some of the stuff that I think we continue to fuss about when it comes to, erroneous black flags, looking to do a better job, especially with multi-class restarts. We've talked about that extensively. So I think that's huge. I mean, how many times do we complain about, I didn't pass them under yellow, but I did. But no, I really didn't, because in the real world, it wouldn't have got me for that. But again, there's no black and white with iRacing.
And they give a look at future content, Brad, where they show a scan of the 24 Jeff Gordon Pepsi car for the for that Gen 4. And so it's pretty cool. They got the little reflector things all over the car, and you can see the guy standing there with the handheld scanner. Pretty neat to, when I first saw this picture, I was like, wow, that's a blast from the past. I remember watching this car race.
Yep. So that's why, I mean, they started teasing these, I guess, with the Gen 4, 2 builds ago, maybe season 2.
So Gen 4 stock cars coming, multiple ARCA manufacturers coming, a from the ground up Legends redevelopment, a new NASCAR Cup tire model, and a IndyCar physics refresh. Further collaborations are also underway with Ferrari, and additional scans have had their airline tickets booked. Tracks they're working on in the future include Portland International Raceway and Miami International Autodrome, or Adelaide in Australia. There's also a lot of pictures at the end showing off some of these things as well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. It's a pretty big update, I believe. So that's good. That's good.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. John, how about all good things come to an end?
Yes, I know a lot of iRacers are familiar with Craig Williams. He's got Craig's setup shop. He's been running this thing for quite a while, maybe 6-7 years. And unfortunately, he's announced he's going to cease operations at the end of the 24 season. Um, he's helped a lot of folks. He's been a great contributor to the community. Sad to see him go.
Yeah, and this was one of the free setups. Like, you could go find a free setup at Craig's setup shop, right?
Yeah, you could, and I think he's talking about. I think he had where you could, maybe purchase a few things, get subscriptions on his website, but I, I'm not sure. I don't know if any of that's going to keep going.
Oh, you got to imagine it's a grind, to constantly build setups, and especially for many different cars. Um, but yeah, that's too bad to see him go. Okay, Brad, let's talk about the champion.
Yeah, so we had a ex post here from iRacing, congratulating Ty Majeski on his 2024 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Championship, with a little blurb there: 10,770 oval I rating, by the way. So Ty's been on the service for a long time. At one point, he was had the highest IR of anybody. And one thing I did see a lot after his winning the championship is multiple pictures of his sim rig with his G25 strapped to the desk in front of a laptop. Um, that's how Ty did it. And I mean, he shows you don't have to have all kinds of fancy stuff to be competitive. Just got to be a good racer. So glad to see Ty get that championship. Followed his career for many years. It's just cool to see a local guy who's super good on short tracks get the opportunity finally to show what he can do, especially on the big stage.
And over the years on this podcast, we've called out his name numerous times because iRacing has been a dedicated sponsor of his throughout his racing journey. Um, even as he was just coming up and getting all his wins that he's famous for. Like the Chili Bowl, or what is it? Not Chili Bowl.
Snowball.
Snowball.
Yeah, Snowball Derby.
Snowball Derby. He's famous for that. But yeah, iRacing has always sponsored him in one capacity or another. I think they even had a logo on the truck of him this last week. So, yeah, congratulations to Ty. We already talked about the Gen 4 scan, so we'll move on to another sim to reality story. This time it's Max Esterson, and he makes his Formula 2 debut later this month. He's going to be driving for Trident. And we got an article from the FIAFormula2.com. And of course, they talk about Max and his how he came up and what his racing path was. But he got his start in virtually with iRacing. Could this be the first American to hit Formula One from iRacing? I mean, he's on that path.
He probably won't make it, but it's a good shot at it.
Yeah, unfortunately you're probably right.
I wish all the best.
Greg.
I wish all the best to him, but there's just so many European drivers to try and compete against. But if he does it, then that's really good. Like, it's been really hard to get some of them in.
All right, moving on. Greg, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is asking for soundtrack ideas for the new game.
Yeah, so I was listening to his podcast this week too. He was talking about it, about things that they were looking for. So he posted on Twitter that they needed to find soundtracks, I guess, for background music and menu music. So for the game coming up here. And they were, I guess it went on. Reddit got a hold of it, and it actually was trending on Twitter at one point as well, from what he was talking about because of a certain song.
Imagine that would be Molly Hatchet flirting with disaster.
I think NASCAR executive Steve O'Donnell even said he wanted Metallica Enter Sandman.
Can't afford that.
Meyer said it's out of budget.
He said it though because after the pace car hit the barrels is why he wanted it.
Ouch. Pretty fun to look at the list of songs that people have put up, but yeah, this was interesting, and yeah, you wonder how that's going to play out and what we're going to hear in the new game.
Do you think didn't Papyrus's NASCAR 2003 have a background, like a generic background sound for in the menus? I can't remember.
Cheap way to do it.
I don't think so. It was typically on the console side. I don't think they did.
I mean, EA did pretty good with their soundtracks when they had the license, but it'll be interesting to see what they put in there.
All right, I got the next one. This is my my good buddy Dirt Panda over on TikTok. This guy is actually my one of my moderators when I stream. I have such a big crowd watching my stream that I have moderators. So anyway, Dirt Panda is my moderator. That's how I know him. And anyway, he put up a video on TikTok this week about a cool website that he found. It's called hfsib.com. And you're like, well, what does that stand for? It stands for How Fast Should I Be.com.
It's super helpful. It's called How Fast Should I Be? Instead of checking research,
so when you open it, you put in your iRating and which car that you want to figure out, and it will basically tell you what the competitive lap time is for that car.
You can just go to hfsib.com.
Cool.
That stands for howfastshouldIbe.com.
So
You can put
Um,
which
but
discipline
where
you're running right
does it
here.
give you?
Add
Is
your
it track
iRating.
specific?
If you select last, it'll
It
tell
is,
you
yeah.
the last 3.
Yeah, so I clicked on it. I've just put in
Explains it up
3,200 iRating, and I
or you can
put
select all
Global
those
Mazda
available from the most
MX-5,
recent season.
and it says
Hit
Season
submit, and then
4
it'll
fixed at
automatically scan
Olton Park
all
Circuit.
of those
To be the
improvements,
fastest one
tell
in
you
qualify,
which
you'd have to be
is
faster than a
super helpful. It saves a lot
150.8.
of time,
To be
and it'll make
in
it
the
a lot more
average top 5
comfortable
in qualify,
running
you'd have to be a
races if you think that maybe you
151.7.
were not fast enough.
To be the
A new
fastest
web
one in
app
the
just
race
launched for
pace, you need a
iRacing. It's super helpful.
152.0, and so on. It gives you these numbers.
All right, so it's so like I just did the IMSA, so it's pulling from whatever the current track is of the week, is what it's pulling from. So that's interesting.
It's like
Um,
Race Labs has the same type of thing for their stuff where you can find out what times are being run for each car.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Race Labs, you can compare data and you can find which is the fastest car for, like, say if you want to run IMSA and you want to know what the fastest car for the week is, you can find it out that way.
So I just put in my iRating on the F4 car, which is at Detroit Grand Prix Belle Isle, and it gives me the times. 128.5 is the fastest, and so on. So then I can go and practice, and I have a goal, or I know where I should be, or get a ballpark.
Hold on. You're not going to practice it. You just want to know the time.
Right. Yeah, probably not me, but
How
pretty neat website.
what kind of times were you running there, Mike?
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look now. See how
All
bad
right,
I am.
so I don't mean to pick, but so like if I pick IMSA Suzuka, all it gives me is the GTP times. It doesn't give me anything other than that. Well, that doesn't work if you're running a GT3 or an LMP2.
Is it still in development?
I don't know. Interesting. It's neat. I just again, it in a multi-class, there needs to be, it ought to give you like each class ideal time.
Hey, moving on. John Alfala is out.
Yeah, he was, I think, running the Contender Series. He was running in the back trying to save tires, and I think he said somebody was maybe coming out of the pits or something, or he didn't see a car, got crashed, just got disconnected, and Ray's not going to be back next year for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series. So kind of sad. I mean, Ray's been around a long time, great driver. Uh, I think he was even out of that series for a bit and then came back into it, but I think he's done for next year.
Yeah, he basically is so far down in the points he's not going to make the top 20. So he's stepped back basically.
Well, he's dead last in points. So, yeah, I threw this in here. I watched the race from Dover, and I was telling Greg, I guess I'm a little frustrated that there hasn't been really nothing published about this. They got one round left. I can't seem to find anything since the race at Homestead, but the way the Contender Series works is top 30 win the opportunity to, I guess, get a contract. Basically, it's the way it works. So the goal is you got to finish in the top 30. Now, again, we know that 20 racers, the top 20 from 2024 Coke Series get invites back. But I threw the points in here because with one race to go, there's quite a few names that are outside the top 30 that were in the Coke Series this year.
Definitely interesting how that's shaken out. Logan Clampett's in it. Look like he's going to make the cut.
Yeah, but I mean, you got again Ray Alfala, Kwame Scott is below. You know, just it's interesting. It's I don't say I feel bad for Ray. I think Ray is a very good driver. It's just I don't know. It's I don't know. It's just younger guys, younger guys is the way it appears to be trending.
Yeah, as the token old guy in the room, I kind of feel bad for him. Okay, Greg, this is what I don't know about. Matt Malone didn't know about it either.
I was putting it in our chat just to troll you, Mike, and then Matt Malone just being Matt Malone.
Oh, there's that word again.
He's in the lobby trying to be a smart Alec, reading the practice tab, and he's like, what is this? And we always give you a hard time about practice, Mike, so I thought it was kind of funny that he was doing it. I guess his chat gives him a good, I guess maybe he doesn't practice either then.
I think he rolls like that too, so pretty cool.
Did you see, there's, I think, something that goes along with that stream where he does his launch. He starts from dead last because he didn't practice or whatever, and he does his launch, and everybody leaves him at the start-finish line, and he's like waiting, and he couldn't get it going.
It's that really good Ace Tech equipment he's got. All right. We have a different kind of iRacing to reality story, Brad.
Yeah, this is about Chaz Draycott. So we continually talk about sim to reality and whatnot. And we always focus on guys getting an opportunity to go from driving and iRacing to driving in the real world. But like Mike said, a little bit different story here. So Chaz's journey. He's a broadcaster now, so he's the voice of truck racing in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and then he was one of the I guess the commentators for this year's FIA Motorsports Games. So, quick little article just says Draycott's journey to those roles through iRacing began just over a decade ago. He's had interest since a childhood from doing creating his own championships with toys and cars and stuff like that. But then he got into gaming PC with iRacing and ended up starting to do broadcasting on the series. So the broadcasting community is huge in iRacing. So that's where he started to get his feet wet, and it's turned into now a professional career. So we continue to see this over and over again. And I was listening to, gosh, who was I listening to? I was listening to, I want to say it's who just retired from PRN. Doug Rice was talking about. I don't remember who he was talking to, but one of the things he said was, he grew up doing um, announcing at short tracks and all that, and he said what they're starting to see now is with the emerging uh, with esports and particularly with iRacing and broadcasting is that's where the next generation of commentators are going to come from, because these guys have had where you may call a race on a Friday night once a week. You got guys that are calling multiple races a week, and they're calling them at the same tracks. It's Vegas, it's Richmond, it's wherever it is. And these guys are getting so much practice doing this that's where he thinks a lot of your next broadcasters are going to come from. Are going to come out of the esports side of racing, which is, I just think it's really interesting. I mean, I think what is it, Blake McCandless, who's done a lot of the eNASCAR stuff. I think he does stuff. I think maybe for Flow now, and I can remember years ago racing with a guy, and I wish I could remember his name, but he's done a bunch of commentating for, I want to say, MRN at one point, but he started, and this is back in the early days of iRacing, doing broadcasts and stuff there. So super interesting, and just another, again, a different take on sim to reality.
Several years ago, maybe my second or third year in iRacing, I got involved in broadcasting and called races with Max Speed TV, and there was another one. But I just, was just part of the booth, a part, like there'd be a 2 or 3 man booth, and I'd be one of the men in the booth and one of those voices. And I can't tell you how much enjoyment I got out of that. It was a ton of fun to do that, to call a race from the booth. If you get an opportunity to try it, do it. It is a lot of fun. All right, next up I got is Cal State recognizes one of its own, a fantastic.
Where you can win money as far as for sponsorships, or scholarships. Sorry, and each of the drivers that are in that are representing their school. And a lot of I was surprised watching this how many schools actually have esports um, as a sport. Not necessarily just racing, but there's all other kinds of, I guess, esports. It's just I was shocked to see that that's as popular as it probably is.
And then the next one is also from one of the Coke stars, Casey Kerwin, got an opportunity with Pratt Miller Motorsports to check out their sim in Huntersville. They have the pretty neat looking sim. They show him being able to strap in it, make some laps, see how he does. He was actually 3/10 faster than the house guy that normally runs it.
Yeah, Pratt Miller's been they've been posting some stuff on social media, about the DIL, which is the driver in loop simulator. This is what your NASCAR teams use, what IMSA uses, what F1 uses. This is the stuff that they use for simulators, and it's really cool. And it was really neat to see Casey get in there, and then just to hear them talk about how quickly he was, how quick he was, taking no time to get up to speed. I mean, they were just shocked. The guy that runs the program is just sitting there. He's like, I mean, you could just hear he's like, I'm just, the I mean, it's almost excitement in his voice that here's a guy that doesn't have any car experience, but he's got some experience, and how quickly he got up to speed. Yeah, and I think right there towards the end, like they showed, it was, I think the in-house guy was 74 seconds a lap, and Casey was 73 seconds a lap. So yeah, super cool, neat to get it from a perspective of somebody who does what we do, and they show some shots of him in front of his triples and the way we are, but then to see him get the opportunity to get in the actual big loop sim was super cool.
Yeah, yeah. You got to wonder what's the software behind this. I understand it's some kind of version of R Factor.
Um, yeah, that's my understanding, but it was, look, iRacing was part worked with Pratt Miller to get him set up to do this. So I don't know. I mean, watching I swear, dude, it did not look that far off from the remote sport that we have in iRacing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You really don't get a super clear vision, shot of the track like you would if we were like watching a replay or something.
Great opportunity. Hey, John, this guy might need to adjust the ballast.
Well, I think he does. He has this is what you call John Curley's iRacing luck here. So this guy has got his Miata in the pits. Jackman goes over to the right side of the car, and there's a video of this. He jacks up the right side and flips the car upside down. Obviously a glitch. Hopefully they sent this one into support to take a look at, but yeah, you're not even safe in the pits anymore.
Well, so apparently this was happening during a driver change. So I'm wondering, was the guy that got in, was he heavier than the guy that got out?
Something. It does look like when he jacked the right side up is when it went over. All right, and then next up I got is the reminder of the Black Friday sale. Obviously goes through November 25th, Black Friday. Or maybe it's even a little bit longer. I haven't looked, but don't forget, guys, this is the best opportunity to get the cheapest deal in iRacing you can get. Um, I actually went to do it, and I still have another year left because I did 2 years last year, so I get to skip this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably do 1 year. Because remember, if you do this, whatever you have, it'll add to that. So like I think mine is up in July of next year, so I'll probably do 1 year. That way I'm good until July of 26.
You're not going to find a better deal, so now's the time to get a renewal if you need one, and even if you don't, like you're doing. Mine is up in early December. and so the timing always works out. Every 2 years, I just renew at Black Friday. Okay, Brad, other events, the SCCA runoffs.
Yep. So this one kind of snuck up on me a little bit. So this is happening next weekend of the 23rd, so November 19th to the 24th. This is going to mimic real life SEC runoffs. This will be held at where is it?
Road America.
Yeah, Road America. Sorry. So many years they were at Mid Ohio. So with the SEC runoffs, you've got multiple classes that'll be running. So you're going to have the Formula V, Spec Racer 4, Global MX5, the USF 2000, GT4, and Renault Clio. So this is going to be your normal, normal times, I think, as they normally are. These will be super sessions. So, as they work through, you're going to end up with different types of qualifying, and all that stuff kind of rolling forward. So I'm going to be out of town that weekend. I won't be able to do anything, but this should be fun. This always seems to be a pretty well supported special.
Right. And then, surprise, Winter NIS is back. It's the 87 cars, and we're running the NIS time schedule, but it's the 87s, and we're started at Daytona this week, so we'll talk about last night's race later. But yeah, glad to see this back. Justin and I ran this last night. John, were you there? No, you weren't there.
Yeah, I missed. I'm going to run it tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, I will run it tomorrow as well. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to try to get a start every week and see how the points shake. Okay, and then Brad, the Fuji 8-hour is the next one.
Yep. So that is this weekend. We've got the Fuji 8 hours. This is GT3 class. So as we talked about last week, this will be all your normal times. I think 5 run-ins. So just GT3s. BOP has been preliminary BOP has been announced. I think they'll release the official tomorrow. That'll be Friday. So it should be fun. We've got myself and David are going to run, do a 2-man team and attack it, and we'll see. Interesting a little bit, this time it's the GP layout, so that's got the chicane in it, which I have never run before. When we ran here back in IMSA, I think last season, we ran the non-chicane version, so should be fun. 8 hours is kind of a nice sweet spot.
Yep. And we did cover everything on this week in iRacing. It's got the usual characters. And then next up was don't forget about the Sim Racing Expo coming to Austin, Texas in mid-March. I went and actually marked the days off from work already in preparation for this.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I plan on being there.
Yeah, and we'll work to. Apparently, the original article that we had linked to has been taken down, so I'll work to try to find some more information on that. So, unfortunately, when you click one of those links right now, it just goes to a not found.
Okay, podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention that podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. Check out our Discord and get involved in the discussion. And you can follow show notes at the iRacersLounge.com. We are in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network. And get your merchandise at iRacersLounge.shop. Finally, fantasy.
All right, so we wrap up the year. Results from Phoenix. We had Res Dog with the win at 283 points, followed by Stuart Haas Fanatic. I guess they'll have to change their name after this year now. Third, we had Mike Go Lightly. Fourth was Smiling Ninja. And then fifth was our Eric Papineau. So, crown 3 champions at Phoenix, boys.
Yep. Well, first of all, I think the big discussion this week is the championship format. Um, coming out of Phoenix, a lot of people saying Joey is not worthy. You know, I don't know. Is NASCAR going to change? I mean, there's indicators from Stern that indicates NASCAR is going to make a tweak.
I just think you finally see the flaw with the playoff system, especially if it's just a one race playoff. So, look, credit to Joey. Everybody plays under the same rules. That Penske has found a way to be good when you have to be good. So, and they've done it 3 years in a row. Have not had stellar regular seasons, gotten the wins when you need to. So again, kudos to that. Nothing wrong with that. Had it been anybody else, I don't think you'd have this much backlash because people just don't like Joey for some reason, and it is what it is. But hey, he's your champion. You can't take that away from him. We've talked in the chat that if we were to go back and rerun, all of the last 15 years, Jimmy Johnson wouldn't have 7 championships. Jeff Gordon would have, I think, 5 or 6. Or, I mean, again, it's you can't go back and redo things because you race the way that the championship has been designed. But I'm not a fan of the current playoff system. I never have been. I would rather see a full year points championship. We'll never go back to that, unfortunately. So for me, I guess a middle ground would have to be somewhere around like we used to have with the chase, but the winning get in needs to go away. I think if you're going to do anything like that, you need to take the top 16 in points, regardless of wins, and that's who if you want to avoid the backlash and try to find who's the best year round, over the course of the year. But a playoff system does not reward yearly consistency, unfortunately.
And everyone and their brother has an opinion on how to fix the playoffs. And so that's been the discussion this week. And with the pace car, hitting the sand barrels. I mean, for me, it's like this cue the clown music. The NASCAR officiating has been kind of a joke week to week to week to week. And then obviously the pace car falls under the officiating, and to make a mistake like that, it's kind of the way that NASCAR is in 2024. It's the epitome of NASCAR.
Yeah, I'm just glad that we didn't end up with really any controversy with any of the races this past weekend. No crazy calls. I think it. That was my only fear going into it. Is something was going to happen and make it even worse. So, um, it is what it is. Um, Greg, I'm sure you've got something you want to comment on it.
I don't know. There's been so much this week to do with it. Like, all these guys are going to race. You tell them that they have to win 15 races to be the champion. They'll do everything in their power to win 15 races to be a champion. If you have to win it on points, whatever it is that's what they're going to do it for. The biggest issue I have is it coming down to one race, and you hear from 2 manufacturers they just can't get their cars to do what the Ford cars are going to do. So, like, is it a fair battle when you get to the final race? If Joey or any of the Penske cars are in the final race, is it a fair fight with all 3 manufacturers at that racetrack? Whereas I think, where you're talking, if you have 3 races to finish it off, at least you can say, hey, it wasn't one and done. Like, if you give look at what happened with Xfinity champion. Why can't I think of his name? Allgaier, sorry. He someone blowing an engine in a practice could have cost him a championship. Like, in one race. Like, is that what you want? And I don't know. I've been around watching racing for a long time. We always try and, I don't know if NASCAR wants to be like the stick and ball sports. It's not a stick and ball sport. And even in stick and ball sports, you have 7 games. or 5 games to determine it. You don't get one race to go against it. And the only difference between stick and ball sports is when you eliminate a team, you don't have to play that team while you're trying to compete against the next team you're facing. That's the biggest problem. Is it's not just the teams you're facing. It's you have 36 or 20 at least 26 other cars or whatever on the track that you got to race against.
The winner is of fantasy.
So overall standings, Canadian with 69.79. Followed second was Dollar Cents. Third, Cutter Truman. Fourth, Res Dog. Fifth, Fat Boy 1990.
Ooh, Tyler makes us proud. Gets into the top 5. Canadian wins it. Canadian, hit me up on the direct message. Get me your contact information, your address, and what you want, a hat or a shirt, and then what size. And we'll get it shipped to you and get you a prize.
You're lucky, Canadian. If you're going to use it off from our website, it's a lot harder to do all that stuff with Canadian funds. So if Mike's footing the bill from us to send it to you, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, we're happy to. Hey, thanks all the listeners for participating in our fantasy league again. It's been fun. Gives us a chance to talk about the NASCAR race a little bit and shoot it and talk about it a little bit. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, had 100 members in the league, so nice job, guys.
Yeah, let's get some more next time. Hardware, software. John, how about the GT Omega cockpits are now available for US?
Yes, Carl Gosling did one of his YouTube videos, uh, and announced that GT Omega cockpits can be bought in the U.S. now. They're running I think, a special 10% off. I got on the website today, took a look at their equipment, and then I think Carl has another discount code on his YouTube video that you can apply as well. I'm a big believer in competition when it comes to equipment, and so I'm glad we can get these in the U.S. now. Another option for us. So, and I don't know anybody that has the GT Omega, but it's good looking equipment.
Yeah, it's typical 80/20 style cockpits available. The price is right. I mean, when you compare this to some of the big cockpit manufacturers, this is definitely affordable.
Yeah, it is. I went in and just for the fun of it, configured. Okay, if I was going to buy one of these, like, everything I wanted on it, their best cockpit, seat, everything, $1,500. That's competitive.
It is. Yeah, with seat. Okay. Greg, why don't you take the advanced traction? No, excuse me, advanced sim racing's traction sway and loss platform.
So, this is off of their actual YouTube page. I saw this. I was like interested for what it is. So they have a sway and loss platform that's got 2 degrees of sway and then a traction loss in it that fits under any 80/20. Obviously, probably specifically made for theirs. But it's interesting that they've come up with this unit in it. Did I see a price on this on the website? It was pretty ridiculous, wasn't it?
Every motion platform is ridiculous.
I want to say it was like $35,000 or something like that, isn't it?
Is that
10,000 US?
Sorry, 10,000. Sorry.
35,000 was Canadian.
Yeah, that's right. No, sorry, it was something else. Maybe I was looking at. Anyways, yeah, it was pretty high. But does that not seem pretty high for traction loss units in the market?
It does. That seems like a lot for what it is.
I think
It
it's
looks
kind of
nice,
cool
though. Look, this is the product you get if you already got the D box on each corner. So you got the D box actuators on each corner. That's the first thing you buy if you want motion. And then if you want to take it to the next level, this is what you get.
So if spending $7,000 or $8,000 isn't enough, you might as well go ahead and throw another 10 on top of that.
Right. If you want to take it to the next.
Well, what is their
Well-
D-Box? It's how much is their D-Box? I'm looking right now.
It's not cheap, but yeah, so this is pretty neat looking system. You know, there's other companies that have these. I think Anthony Alfredo talked about one that he's associated with. Yeah, let us know what you find, Greg, but I'm going to move on to the next story. More high-end steering wheels on the horizon. We have an article from boxthislap.org. And he basically talks about the different wheels that are been announced this year, and it's kind of a nice little definitive list. I don't know if we've ever seen a list of all of them in one place, so this was kind of neat to see.
Yeah,
Read
I
them
mean,
off here, I
yeah.
guess. Acetec Invicta Formula, Fanatec Podium Bentley, Moza Racing Lamborghini, the Asher Racing McLaren, Track Racer Alpine, Cube Controls Mercedes, Sim Lab Mercedes, the VPG
Wow.
Ford Mustang GT3,
I do like that one.
the Thrustmaster Hypercar. Yeah, quite a list.
Yeah, a lot of these came out of the Sim Expo. So yeah, it's a lot of money right there on those pictures.
Yeah, I mean the Mercedes wheel, that's $2,700 US. That's a lot of green.
And the new Moza one, which is concave like a bowl. You guys talked about this when I was out, but my feedback on this was when you use this, you know, and you have an oval wheel and you're switching back and forth, you're going to need a different spacer on this wheel because of the way the depth is on it.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. That was one thing that Sean Cole said was he actually had to go in and adjust his whole deck and push it away from him because it's so deep and it's so wide where the mount is.
I would never, with the way mine's set up, I'd have to do a lot of fixing if I went that way with something like that.
I rattled off a half dozen Formula One team names when I listed these wheels. What Formula One team is missing, Greg? I mean, who's next?
Well, you don't have a Red Bull. You're probably never gonna see a Red Bull rim because they just don't. They don't do anything. I guess it would be considered a Honda, but Honda's only the engine provider. Right? You'll never. And I thought, did Williams make one? Because Williams only finally went to a digital screen on their wheel in the last year or two. They were used to have an onboard dash on the car, so I wondered if they ever came up with a wheel or a rim. But there's not many teams left because I guess the next one would be when Audi takes over Sauber or Kick.
Well, you got Toyota coming into Haas.
Yeah, but they're just providing technology. I don't think they're gonna have anything
For
really.
now.
Yeah,
For
I guess.
now.
But then they'll leave and they'll come and leave and then do what they normally do.
John, we got a new DDU lineup from SimDash.
Yeah, this is sharp looking. It's basically got a chrome frame to it. I think it's 6.8 inches, and it's limited. You can get limited run of this. You can get chrome, blue, or red. Sharp looking. I mean, what we have here if you go to the Instagram post, gives you a little bit of a preview of what it looks like. Sharp looking, I mean, it's a great looking dash. I go back to what Brad said earlier. I can't get one of these until I can see the UI on iRacing. It's just going to be in the way. I don't know if you guys have used one or not, but that's my thought.
So I have a tablet on the top of my wheelbase, John. If you get it at the right angle, you only lose the play button. Like Mike was saying, like you only lose the play button on the replay. But I just tilt it down when I'm doing stuff in replay. But the rest of it, it works like you would have when you have the screen up. It basically sits where the NASCAR dash or any of the other dashes would be.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an old phone that I'll throw up every now and then, but like I said, then I get frustrated because I have to, do like this to look around and try to find my buttons. So, look, these DDUs are fantastic. I reached out to him because I was curious on prices. He makes these himself. They're not cheap. You're looking at 315 to 350 euro. So not cheap, but the quality is absolutely fantastic with these things.
Does he only do it in Chrome, or does he have other choices?
Chrome, blue, red, black.
I would be afraid the Chrome would reflect what's coming off the monitor.
Yeah, I know, me too. But yeah, I follow him on Facebook. Just really nice looking stuff.
It's a bit tall, I think. Man, it's a bit big. I think I would want one a little slimmer, but
the problem is a 5-inch screen is not that big. 6.8 is really kind of what you need in order to be able to see what you want to see. So I think 6.8 is about the sweet spot. There's that big Porsche one that came out that was like 10.8 inches wide or something. That's just way too big. But like I said, it's on the bucket list at some point. iRacing, just change it to where I can move my stuff around in the UI, please.
okay. Well, this one says spend Mike's money. Oh, okay. So let's talk about Cosworth has partnered with Sim Rep Engineering and created a sim wheel that replicates the one it puts in the real life racing cars. We have an article from topgear.com showing it off. $10,000, guys.
That's why we're spending Mike's money.
It doesn't even look like a $10,000 wheel, though.
Is it because like Cosworth's name was? I mean, everybody knows Cosworth, but like, it's the desirable name. But I don't think Cosworth's more valuable than Mercedes or Porsche or Lambo or any of those ones. So it's kind of weird. Like, it looks like a more generic one with just a Cosworth name on it.
Well, look, as the article says, you can get the Mercedes wheel, which is around $2,300, or you can get the Cosworth that comes in just under 8,000. Just if you get the 2 regular paddles, shifter paddles. If you want to upgrade to 6 paddles, then you're up to $10,000. So, Mike, if you're going to spend 8, you might as well spend 10 to get all 6 paddles, buddy.
All right, Brad. When I'm ordering this for you, what should I put the 6 paddles for you?
Oh, if you're going to spend it, you might as well.
I don't spend my money. We all know that. I spend other people's money.
I'll take the SimLab Mercedes wheel, Formula One replica wheel, all day long at $2,300, but over this one.
I forgot. While we're on the topic of these rims, I was in. We have a store called Canada Computers here, which is where I bought all my stuff from. For I guess it's like your Micro Center in the States. They carry Moza products there. I was like, this is the first place I've seen that has the only thing I can usually find in Canada, unless I order off a site, is Logitech or Thrustmaster. But now I found Moza. I was like, so it might be an option down the road.
So the last paragraph, or next to last paragraph in the article, says this wheel itself is an exact replica of the FIA certified Cosworth CCW MK2 wheel that is used by a number of teams competing in LMP2, IndyCar, and Super Formula. So that means that you get the real life wheel's carbon fiber housing and all of its standard buttons and rotary controls. So it's not. This isn't a knock. This isn't a replica. You're actually getting the actual wheel that is built for the race cars. Just you can use
So you're
it on your
getting the
sim
price
rig.
tag it costs for that too.
Yes.
The as soon as you said FIA, I knew that's why it was costing. As soon as that was involved, I knew it was costing something.
Okay, we'll move on to the next wheel. We have a Instagram post from Wave Italy showing off their unparalleled driving experience Formula wheel. My first reaction is it looks so small.
It does look tiny, doesn't it?
It's like a baby wheel. I don't know. I
It's
mean,
the Wish version of wheels.
That
a little off.
that person has very big hands.
Hey, is this the one of those things that you put in water and then it'll grow?
Yeah, I don't know. The only perspective we have on the size of it is there's somebody's hand is kind of holding it. And so based on the hand, it looks like I don't know. I mean, most wheels are 300 millimeter. This to me visually looks like it's 250.
It's probably 280, but yeah, it's just nope.
All right.
There's so many things I want to say, but I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, Brad. How about the Thrustmaster T598?
Yeah, so Will Ford reviewed the Thrustmaster T598. We talked about this a few weeks ago. This is what's supposed to be the next generation of direct drives. This is the whole. I don't remember what exactly they called it, but he does a good. I mean, look, Will Ford does a good review as he normally does. He has some good things and some bad things to say about it. Still for me, it's I don't know. It's too big. The thing is huge to have set up there. It's not it's not that cheap. The he did say the pedals were surprisingly okay, but I don't know. It's just there was flex in it. It's a plastic. The disconnect is plastic. It's not metal. Again, like I said before, this for me would be a hard no. Yeah.
I wonder if this.
I think they call it track seal.
I wonder if this is one of those wheels that when it gets into the public's hand, it's going to have that. You said the plastic quick release. It's going to have like a defective part, or people are going to have. There's going to be a huge aftermarket to try and improve that.
Well, I think most of the Thrustmaster, the quick releases, like the Ferrari wheel and all that stuff, it's just hard plastic anyway. I mean, if you can spend the same amount of money and get a nice set from Moza, and you've got an actual NRG quick release, which is dang near bulletproof.
If you look at the 16-minute mark, he's like gripping the wheel and trying to kind of move it around a little. It's got tons of flex in it. Ouch, that's a hard no for me.
That's
I think his conclusion is if you're going to do driving games on a PS5, this is okay. Otherwise, go a different route.
It's got that console integration that a lot of others don't have. So yeah, that is a good point.
That market's going to start getting more and more as like the peripherals that are getting involved, but the problem is it's near the end of another life for PlayStation and Xbox, and then all of a sudden the next one comes out and then they don't all work for the next one again.
All right, I'll take this quick hit. SimCraft has a sales showroom now open in Kennesaw, Georgia. So if you're in the Kennesaw, Georgia area, you can go check out SimCraft. They have several different motion rigs set up here where you can trial them. Pretty cool. And they do offer half-day or full-day rentals available. Okay, John, how about the one for all the DIYers?
Yeah, so this is it's an assembly kit basically. It looks like you can create button box shells, button caps, rear plates, stickers, all those things for a button box. It's a company called Velocitas Imperium. It's a European company. I'm not a DIY guy, but if you are, this is, and you want to create these kind of things, check it out.
I feel like this is a Tony Groves website with all the stickers, Mike, from back in the day.
That's basically a DIY version of the precision sim engineering? Is that what it is, Mike, that you like?
Pro Sim panel. It's
Yeah.
a little button box. Yeah, this is a knockoff on that, basically. Cheaper version. You do have to assemble it yourself, but they give you everything you need for 200 euros. I think even though how much I like that so much, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to probably go with um, the one where the buttons are programmable. What is that called? The Stream Deck. Probably go with the Stream Deck, which has a similar look.
You have more flexibility with a Stream Deck too, Mike.
Okay, so I'm going to take this one because this one got me super excited this week. The Advanced Sim Racing's next generation chassis. And this is a video on their YouTube channel, and they show off what this looks like. I'm impressed. I mean, it really is next gen this time, guys. Instead of putting your rig together with corner brackets, they now have where there's holes in the metal where you drive a long bolt all the way through the metal into a T-nut. And it eliminates the whole little diagonal, cross brace.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
well, I mean, I know, I get it. If you're going to have an upright that's going to be mounted directly on top of your rails, that's fine. And I agree that's probably stronger than using two corner brackets. But like I've got a TR160 and I have corner brackets, but my uprights go along the side of my rails. There's 14 nuts on each side. I could probably grab a baseball bat and hit the thing, and it's not going to move. But yeah, I mean, there's some things on here I do like. I like the way that the deck adjustability is nice. But still, my whole issue with all these new ones is there's no slots on the sides, the outsides of the 80/20, and that frustrates me.
I think they said you could order it with the slots, with or without.
Okay.
And the other key difference is the metal has openings for cabling. And so all your cabling can be run like through the uprights, for example, going to the wheel. And it makes a really clean look. On the more expensive Pro version, the wheel deck is amazing. I mean, it's got this back and forth and up and down and tilt and sideways, all the different adjustments to move it around. Same with the pedal deck. Everything is completely movable. And if I was to get a new rig, man, I would get something like that where the wheelbase can go back and forth and eliminate the whole need for an extension on my wheels. If I could have a wheelbase that is adjustable, you don't need extensions.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, that is the one thing that's nice. I mean, like with the track racer, there's a little bit of adjustability, but not a ton. But yeah, it's not easy to do it. I've got to loosen up probably about 15 nuts to make adjustments. So yeah, I mean, I mean, this is stuff I think it's just as 80/20 continues to evolve and things get easier, you start to understand how much adjustability you actually need in your rig as opposed to just something that's you build it once and you never change it again.
100%. If you're buying a cockpit, this is the one to get because they got these features that nobody else has really.
Did they put a price on that, or is it still in progress?
So the ASR Pro, that one is about $1,200 US.
It's expensive. That's expensive. That's no monitor stands. That's no seat. No, not that's
So you're almost $2,000 in.
yeah.
Yeah, easily. The other thing too, and again, this is for those who aren't as mechanical as others or good with tools. This one supposedly is a lot easier, quicker to assemble, which is a big deal to me. You know, some of those rigs, and you guys know this, it'll take you 5 to 10 hours to put that thing together. That's a long time.
The nice thing that I don't know if anybody has gotten some stuff from Advance. They put a QR code on the box that takes you right to the YouTube page of how to assemble it for it. So it's actually pretty good for a lot of their stuff. The other good thing about Advanced, if you are in the market for something, is this is always something that is tough to come by, but I think there's still free shipping from wherever in North America.
Yeah, I bought my triple monitor stand recently from them, and it was a great product. I've had no problem with it at all.
And
So very happy with them.
And they're Canadian.
See, we don't hold that against them.
At the 10-minute mark, they show off a piece of metal that. So like if you have extra cables like running up the upright, you can put this piece of metal over them to hide the cabling. It's kind of cool. Okay, John, how about the next one? The coolest sim racing product, says OC.
Yeah, so this is another review of the motion sim rig, motion system. I didn't get to watch the whole video, but you know, if you're in the market for that, good video to watch.
Yeah, he's trying out. It's Motion House is who the maker is. So he was happy with it. It took quite a bit of dialing in to get it to where he was comfortable. It was a little over dramatic there at the beginning. But again, it's I think probably everybody wants motion at some point. But again, what's the cost? This is not cheap either. Um, I think what was different with this one is it has haptics built into it as well. So it's not just motion, but it does have haptics built into the four post as well, which I think that's pretty cool. So that gives you another level of immersion.
$5,240 for the Motion Gear Haptic 4. Has this giant control box too for the electronics.
I think you're going to have that pretty much with almost anything.
All right, motion. It's Motion House. Pretty cool. A little expensive. I think you're paying extra for that haptic, but yeah. Okay, Greg, how about this one? The never-ending question.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten through this video, but this is from Get Good Racing. I guess it's asking the question, the best settings for brake pressure. What pedals is he
Soft
using?
or hard?
Soft or hard. I mean, again, that's the never-ending question. Is a hard pedal more realistic or a soft pedal? It depends on the type of car you're driving. An F1 car is going to have a very hard pedal, and a sports car is not going to be as hard. and I can't tell you how many times I've watched these videos, and then if you hear a real race car driver, the one thing that we don't have is we do not have G's in our car. So when Lance Stroll steps on his brake, as he's decelerating at like 6 G's, his body weight is helping to push that pedal down. We don't have that. It's strictly whatever pressure I'm using in my leg. So I fell into the trap when I first got back into sim racing. I'm like, oh, I gotta have a hard pedal. No, you don't. Um, you need to find something that's comfortable for you. For the most part, most of us are not exerting more than probably about 50 to 60 kilograms of force. I've got 120 kilogram Husenfelds. I'm never going to get up to 120 kilograms ever. Never. My leg would have to be twice the size.
I think the video, he goes on to basically test and prove out that softer is better for him, and he explains why. He just thinks it's hard to give that fine-tuned adjustment when you're having to really stress, pushing that harder pedal, and then the longer races, obviously there's fatigue and that kind of thing. So those were kind of his reasoning.
I think the hardest part with a hard pedal is there's no feedback coming back to your foot. Like, you have hydraulics to simulate pressure, but there is nothing. You're not feeling the rotor or any of the pressures that a rotor would have going back through the pedal back to your foot, so you can't get the feel with a hard pedal. That's why people go softer, because you can manipulate where your foot is with how you want it to feel. Because more of a hard pedal is like an on-off switch. You're like on and then you're off. I've recently switched from a hard to a soft. Really, actually gone to a really soft spring on my sim coaches, and softened it up. And I really have been enjoying the braking capabilities of getting into the corner now, being more soft and finding the max limit, and then being able to, if I do go over it and I do have a little bit of lockup, I can take my foot up just a little bit, and I got it there. Like, now I've got it to the point where it's, lift my toes a little bit, and I can get it out to stop doing it.
Yeah, I mean, when I got into the trap with the hard pedal, I found that it was great if I was doing sports car racing, but as soon as I got into an oval car, I did not, an oval car, I just need a little bit of pedal to set the nose, get in the corner. Well, with a hard pedal, I've got to give it way too much pedal. It's very hard to modulate it and find that sweet spot. So for me, that was the struggle.
It's also fatigue when you're trying to do that all the time.
I'm kind of liking the hard pedal myself, even though what he says is agreeable. But when I first got my pedals a few months ago, it was set up for the soft, and I switched it to the hard, and I was better. I was faster, and so I've stuck with it. As far as the haptics and the feedback you mentioned that's missing, Greg, I'm pretty much set on. I'm going to buy the Moza active brake or the Sim Magic active brake, probably whichever one comes out first. But I'm going to buy it.
That's where, like, when you get something like that is kind of, I don't know if I did a baseline before I even switched my pedals out to try and see what I was, so I could compare it to something. And then when I got back in with the new pedals, I had a way to tune it a bit so that I could get to a spot where I was comfortable again, and then could tune it further beyond that point.
Hey, John, we got a good entry-level aluminum profile rig.
Yeah, we've got a review of the 6 Sigma, their cheapest rig. I think it's the 6S model, which right now sells for $319 on their Black Friday sale. And I've looked at these rigs that they've got. I always think when it comes to things like rigs, you get what you pay for. And so if you're on a budget that's a $320 budget, go ahead and look at this one. If your budget is $1,200, go look at the one we talked about earlier. But I think the guy that reviewed this said, look, for the money, it's okay. It's got some adjustability to it. But if this is your budget, look at it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's still the typical 80/20 rig, but it's, obviously a cheaper version. It's not the thicker metal and whatnot. And but you're right. If your budget is in that time frame, why not? This is a US based, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch it, you look at it. I mean, it's 80/20 comes down to how beefy do you want your 80/20 to be? So, um, 160 millimeter is about as beefy as you're going to get. That's what I wanted. I wanted something I was going to buy one time, never to worry about buying it again. Um, but I think this is 40/20, pretty much all for the base. Um, and again, he said a little bit of flex, not bad. And I think really with almost any 80/20, it's about the most rigid cockpit that you can build. So, yeah, I mean, he said the seat that they offer was nice. Again, it's like anything else. It's all a la carte. So we can say $300 is great for a rig, but then once you start putting everything else in there, that's where the money starts to pile up. I mean, I can't tell you how long I kept playing with, all right, what do I want to do when I was building mine last year? And it's like, okay, well, I can get this for this. And by the time I get done, I'm like, dang, well, I'm right back to where I was. I don't want to spend that much money. And it didn't matter which, what I ended up finding was whether I was looking at Track Racer, Advanced Sim Racing, or whoever I was looking at, I always ended up right back at about the same dollar signs. Was where I ended up. So it really it's all a la carte. It's what do you want to spend when it comes to it. And that's the nice thing with 80/20 too, is you can design it how you want to. You don't have to go all out at once if you don't. You can piecemeal it as you go along. Which again we've said is it's expandable, it's changeable. Unlike some rigs to where once you've got it, it is what it is, and you can't do much with it.
Right. I'll take the Sim Design DDU button box. This is by simdesign.race. And it's a housing that has, it almost looks like a 3D printed plastic housing. But it's got a DDU on the top, a display, and then buttons and knobs on the bottom. So kind of a hybrid situation.
Very cool. I like this a lot.
Just have it off to the side, not have it above the wheel, of course, because that wouldn't be right. It'd be too tall. But maybe just off to the side and maybe track map on it or something like that. That'd be
Yeah, it'd be completely impractical, but it would just look really cool.
It would.
I mean, I think about it, I'm like, well, would I even look at it? Probably not. But man, when somebody walks up and you look at it, just to sit down and you sit down in your rig and you're like, that's nice. I like that.
Okay. And John, how about the Boosted Media Black Friday deals?
Yeah, so Boosted Media has, I'm trying to pull it up again here, but basically he's got a Black Friday sim racing deal live tracker on his website. So you can go, if you go to the Boosted Media website, which is boostedmedia.net, you can go to this tracker and find out what's going on. And you can even shop by brand here. So you can say, well, what's Fanatec have? So you can click on that. What's Simicube have? And so on. So this is a great spot to go to because, anybody that's been doing sim racing for any period of time, this is the time of year you get that itch to buy because things are going on sale. So this is a good place to go find where the deals are.
Yeah, Sim Magic, 30% off. Gomez, 15% off. Simicube, 5% off. BRS, 10% off. Quite a bunch of good ones. So yeah, if you're buying, you might as well take advantage.
And look, I'm sure he probably gets a kickback to it as well. So, it's always nice to, if you can use an affiliate link, those guys do spend a tremendous amount of time doing stuff to allow us to look at reviews and try to make educated guesses when we buy stuff.
Okay, and then finally, Brad, this crazy looking Visaro rig.
I figured I was going to get this one. Yeah, so we've got the Visaro Dome X. This is by Visaro Sim. So this is a fully encapsulated sim racing experience that cannot be rivaled on immersion. At the core of the Visaro Dome is our latest Visaro X chassis technology. Okay, wonderful. That's great. But then we've got a display solution for it is a cutting edge 270-degree projection system providing an uninterrupted distortion-free view spanning 270 degrees horizontally over twice the field of most VR headsets. So we're going to go ahead and we're gonna take triples to the extreme here. You're also going to get fully integrated speakers. You're going to get D-Box with haptics. You're going to get the SimCube, DD wheel, bass. You're going to get Hosenfeld Ultimate pedals. You're going to get a very powerful PC, and it looks great. Sounds fantastic. Anybody ready for the price tag? $66,000.
I just placed my order.
It looks hot. I mean, you're basically sitting in a box. I mean, the back opens up so you can get into it, but then the back closes, and you're cooking in a box.
I was just gonna say, what if you're claustrophobic, or what if the box malfunctions and you're locked in there?
Let me out!
I am a little claustrophobic. That would not fly.
Brings new meaning to sim room.
Well, look, I mean, we've talked about them before. I mean, this is the company that you can. I mean, I'm looking at the website. You can get the full Formula One car basically to sit up in front of your triples. So it's, this is, I guess, super high end stuff. Perhaps if you're, I don't know.
We're not the customers that they're looking for.
No, not at all.
Not even if you could put all of us together, and our listeners, could we afford it?
All right. That's been fun. Let's jump to results and talk the NASCAR iRacing series and wrap up the season. It was Phoenix Friday Open. I got back from vacation that day and jumped on the sim and got a P16. I got involved in a lot of wrecks with over 4 minutes damage, just surviving basically. John, you got a P27.
Yes, I did. Boy, I got wrecked early. Had over 5 minutes required, so I was laps behind. Thing is, I got wrecked by the same guy that had wrecked me the week before at Martinsville. And I think I even said to one of the teammates that was in the race with me, I said, look out for number so-and-so. He's bad news. And sure enough, he got me. So I just couldn't come back from that.
Okay, and then Justin Pearson, P23. He actually pitted for tires with 2 to go, and no one else pitted. I mean, we were all in the race together, and I'm like, I'm staying out. Yeah, he pitted, and I have no idea why, but of course, never able to recover from that. So just a total brain fart, Justin. Sorry, Justin. Brad, P25.
Yeah. So second attempt at Phoenix, and this one didn't go any better. So started P2, which was great, and I think lap 2, I cut the dog leg and just hit it in a very funky way and about wrecked the car. And was not as aggressive. I mean, it wasn't like I cut it up by the wall. I don't know what I did. So whatever. Fell back to mid pack. Only ended up getting wrecked. Greg was in there with us. So lost 7 laps getting damage fixed. But since it was the last race of the season, I figured I'd just stay in it to the end. Fellowship on Discord was better than the racing. So that's what made the 2-hour race worth it, was just chit-chatting in Discord and having a little fun.
Is it bad that I don't even remember racing it? It says I got 18th on my app. I don't remember one bit from the race. I remember you were in it. I don't remember
Yeah.
how I got
Uh,
18th.
you were up front for most of it, and then you ended up. I think you got caught up in that stuff.
Oh,
No,
that
what did
big
you do? You got a
wreck. That
penalty. You got a penalty. That's
Yeah,
what happened.
I was gonna finish fifth. I was starting out on the outside. I got a restart violation. That's why I finished 18th.
Yep.
And on the green white checkered, I went. He was playing games with me, and he slowed down, and I stayed at the speed, and then he sped up, and we went at the same time, and it gave me a violation.
Yep. Again, the whole there's no gray with iRacing sometimes.
Chris Waldron got a P18. Moving on to Sunday Fixed Phoenix. I got a DNF. I was actually running second with about 9 to go on a restart, and I got taken out from behind. DNF. It was ugly. John, you got a P10.
I did. I was kind of surprised. You get in those fixed races, you never know what you're going to get. Uh, but the key there was I just stayed out of trouble, and everybody was wrecking out, so I picked up spots just by attrition. But I had a pretty clean race. It was fun. I hadn't done a fixed in a while, so it was good to get back in Discord with teammates for that one.
All right, moving on to Wednesday Open Winter NIS. We had Daytona with the 87s. I was involved in the first caution. They actually stacked up a little bit, and I got ran over from behind, 11 minutes damage. I continued on for a bit, actually, but ended up getting into another wreck and blew the engine. DNF. Justin Pearson wrecked out in the same caution. Tyler Williamson also wrecked out. Moving on to my precious FIA F4. P10 started at ninth, got my way up to fourth. I see a guy coming. He's super fast. I let him go and fall to fifth. Shortly after he goes over the curbs, turns his car sideways, and I T-bone him. I have to pit for repairs. I come back out 12th and drive it back up to finish P10. Second race, top split, started 16th, got up to 9th after lap 1, held it until the end when a guy tried to pass me on the second to last corner and basically drove me off track. Ended up a P15. Third attempt, car number 1 had a bad qualifying start at 18th, got up to the highest 10th, but then got racing a guy and got ran off the road, got back to 18th and recovered back up to finish P13. On to next week at Detroit Belle Isle. First attempt ended up wrecked out. Not a fan of this track. There's no runoff anywhere. Second attempt qualified fifth, top split, and finished P5. Great race, 95 points. Qualified 13th, and the next one drove up to P5, ended up finishing P6 with 98 points. That was actually a little better in points. Next one qualified 8th out of 16, drove up to P5, ended up spinning and finishing P6 with 85 points. B Open, Brad, P20.
Yeah, I committed to during the break here to run the B core more often. So ended up 20th. Dover got wrecked. So started P10, gave up a few spots on the start, just trying to kind of settle in for a long run, save tires. Accident happens right in front of me coming off turn 2. Dover just gets blocked very quickly. I thought I had it cleared, but right as I got past it, guy ended up coming up, hit the left front, broke the wheel. 10 minutes of damage, just wasn't worth hanging around for. So I love the car. I love everything about it. Just I'm not enjoying the racing. Phoenix was a disaster as well. So I'm not sure. It's very, very frustrating.
Hey, Draftmaster John, P4.
Yeah, I've stayed away from Draftmaster for the most part because it's just disaster waiting to happen, but I did one anyway. And as usual, the key is miss the big wrecks. This one I did. So the top 4, we had a huge breakaway, and I finished P4. So it was a good one.
Very good. All right, IMSA, Brad, P2.
Yeah, GTD at Suzuka. So I like races like this. So we started wet. Track was moderately wet. It was at 50%. No rain at all. Just starting on a wet track. So started on slicks. A lot of guys were mixed bag on what they were going to start on. Was able to avoid some of the first lap mayhem and ended up driving up to the leader. So he was 12 seconds ahead, ran him down. He was on wets, and I caught him right as he was getting ready to pit. So he pits, puts on dries. At that point, I'm like, this is great. I've got a nice big lead. I'll be good. All I got to do is stop for fuel since I'm already on slicks. And I made my stop. And as I came out, he was about 2.5 seconds behind me. And I was like, wow, his strategy worked. So he just had more pace than I did. He ended up catching me. But it was fun. I'd rather that is a little more challenging than driving, just in a full blown rainstorm. Just because we had multiple strategies out there, people were questioning which way to go. So it was fun.
And I guess I'll take a moment before we get into final thoughts. Let's talk season if you guys want to. I ended up P11 in the points, Division 2. Guess I'm happy with that. I kind of wanted to sneak in the top 10, but didn't quite have enough points. What about you guys? Any notables?
I finished 15th in Division 2. Really for me the goal was to get in the top 10, but tracking the results weekly, when I sit back and I look at the year as a whole, just lots of missed opportunities. That is what I see, and that was a lot of the big races. Couldn't finish a Coke 600, couldn't finish in Indy, the Brickyard 400. It was the stuff that just felt like great runs that uh, never could get finished and never could materialize. But 36 weeks it's a long stretch. It's a lot of racing. It's fun, look that it's enjoyable because there's a bunch of us usually in the same race together. Even if we're not in the same race, we're all on there together and we're chit chatting. And to me, um, that's the most fun. So ready to do it again next year. Again, the goal is gonna be the top 10. Got to come in probably with a little bit higher I rating to start the season to get some of those points in the bank and just kind of roll on.
Yeah, Chris Waldron finished 26th in Division 2. I see David Hall 46th, even though he only did a partial season. Yeah, and excited to see in our chat some excitement for people looking to next year. Like Joe Owen is he's ready to jump into NIS again and join us. So looking forward to next year. I got 11th. I only got the one win at Talladega. I guess that's you know my low light. I usually get 3 or 4 wins a year in NIS, and I only got one. But at least I got one.
Yeah, but how many other wins did you get in other things this year, Mike? You had a different year of racing than just NIS.
That's true. I've won a race in the rain in the GT3. I've won in the F4 car 6 or 7 times in open wheel. So you're right. I've won the winter NIS Talladega race. So I've had some other notable wins. You're correct. Okay, final thoughts, Greg Hectus.
It's the off season. It's always tough to keep going. I'm looking forward to running the winter series, both winter series, I guess, the Polar and the winter series, coming up here. The Polar series starts Monday next week, right, guys? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll probably race with you guys tomorrow night at the winter series, and I like I'd like to run the Legends car for a bit and just get away from running something that's just too stuck to the track.
It was so pleasant last night to get into that 87 car and have horsepower and have, it lifted off the ground 4 or 5 inches. It was a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well. I think Justin and I are a little gun shy. We're probably going to start in the back and try to avoid the big one. All right, Brad, final thought.
Just to kind of put a button on on NIS. The racing is fun, and it helps to take care of the um that competitive side, and that's the one thing I missed for years, not being back on the service, and to run a full season was fun. But at the end of the day, um, what I find the most enjoyable is, like I said, in Phoenix, why I hung out was because we were all on there chit chatting and we're talking, and it's the community. At the end of the day, I mean, that's really what is the most appealing to me, is the community that we have, the team, and then just the banner back and forth, and it's fun. So, um, that's the one thing I will miss during this winter break, is the Wednesday night and the Friday night chit chats that we have while we're all racing and whatnot. So, it's it's good to take a break. Going to focus a little more on sports car during the break, but yeah, be ready for Daytona. Will be here before we know it, and we'll all be ready to do it. And then 12 weeks into it, we'll be like, why are we doing this? This is miserable. And then we'll push through like we always do.
It's a very short off season.
It is.
When I look at the top 20 in points in NIS Division 2, I see a lot of familiar names that I race with every week. You know what? It's almost like a league. This is official, but it's like a league because you're racing the same guys pretty much week to week to week. And I enjoy it for that too. It's a league without admin preferences, or I'm a friend of the admin, so I'm going to get some favoritism. You don't have that because it's official, but it is like a league because the guys that race all 36 weeks, kudos to them. Kudos for you guys racing every week with us. We need more. We need more people committed to this series, more than just a few hundred of us that there are. Okay, John Curley, final thought.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, 36 weeks of racing is a lot. When the season started, my goal was to run every race. I tried, but I only got in 22. Because life happens, and so what I'm going to do is be positive about it. Next year, I'm going to run them all. That's my goal. Get it done. Spend the time. And I enjoy this off season. I'm looking forward to the winter series, or the winter NIS, and the new Polar Winter Series now. Those are fun. And like Brad said, to me, the best part of being in those kind of races is being in the Discord chat with teammates. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're not on a team, find one, because it makes this sport that we're in even more fun. So it's a great thing.
Absolutely. Yep. And my final thoughts, yeah, like I said, I'm kind of resigned to buy the active brake, but not the SemiCube one. It's just too much money. I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's too long. Okay, that's the other reason. My space that I have, I literally can't put a brake that long on my rig. It'll mess everything up. So I'm actively looking forward to the active pedal from Moza and or Sim Magic and or any other manufacturer who can bring one in at a probably 1200 or less. I'm probably game with, but um, I imagine I can just mount it right on the exact pedals I have now. Just remove the brake pedal I have and put the active pedal in place of it. I use the same throttle and clutch I have now, and it'll work like a charm. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Just waiting for some pricing and when is it going to ship and that kind of stuff. So Other than that, yeah, looking forward to off season. Still doing the TikTok streaming, so we have a great community going over there. Everyone, come check me out over there and see what's going on. It's pretty fun. With that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. All right, title ideas. We got bump start.
I think it needs to be the way that Brad spelled practice out under Matt Malone's topic. With each dash in between each letter. I think that's how it should be.
Show me how it looks.
Go to the go down a little bit. Right there. Right there. I feel like we need to use that clip of the football coach saying, "Practice, practice."
All right, I'll take it. I like it. All right, vote.
Well,
I guess no.
I think it would be somehow cool if David could do something with the bump start file, either at the beginning of the show or something. I don't know, just do something with it.
Did you guys hear it when I hit play or no?
Nah.
Oh.
Did you?
I don't know. Was it picking up through the microphone? That was kind of what I thought, but
No, I didn't hear it at all.
all right. So practice it is. We'll go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, even if he inserts it in there when Mike says, "I'm going to try and play it." All right, well, good show, John. Thanks for adding another voice to the show tonight.
Yeah, I haven't been on in 3 months and I missed it. You know, I'm not a great contributor to this, but I like doing it. It's
You
good to
do a
be
fine
involved.
you do a fine job, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
How was that mac and cheese, Greg?
You like that? The wife brought that in halfway through. I was like, I'm starving.
All right, I got the link sent to David for the recording.
Anybody
And
doing
that's it. I'm going to get some lunch.
Anybody doing the Daytona Fixed Winter Series?
I'm not.
I got to eat. If I didn't have to eat, I probably would, but I'm famished, so
All right,
I
see you
might
tomorrow
jump
night.
on and spot you or something if you're going to run it.
Yeah, I probably won't. I didn't realize how many laps it was. That's a long race. I'll hit the open tomorrow.
All right, I'll see you guys.
All right, night, guys.